South Dakotans have relied on the horse for hundreds of years to work the land, compete for the ultimate prize, and enjoy the view of the rolling hills and prairie lands from on top of the South Dakota horse. We celebrate equine power, grace, and beauty, and the South Dakotans who take the reins. This is the South Dakota Horse Podcast. Hello everyone, my name is Justin Aaron, and I am your host for today's South Dakota Horse Podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the show. In episode 3 of our podcast series, I have the pleasure of visiting with Shanna Border, founder and director of Borderlands Horse Sanctuary outside of Humboldt, South Dakota. She has a great story and a big heart for the horses she cares for on her family farm. Before we begin, we wanted to cover some upcoming events in South Dakota. If we've missed any, be sure to share your Facebook event with our page, and we will be sure to add your event to our events calendar. The SDSU rodeo schedule, they have an upcoming rodeo at Brookings. It's the SDSU Jackrabbit Stampede, and that is at the Swiftel Center in Brookings, South Dakota on April 3rd and 4th. So be sure you head out to the Swiftel and support the SDSU Jackrabbits. From the equestrian team's calendar, they have one home competition, and that is on February 22nd. That's versus UC Davis, and that's in Brookings. We're not sure of the actual location of the event. We're assuming it's probably on campus, but it may be at the Swiftel. As soon as we find out more information, we will let you guys know. Other upcoming events, they have a competition at Texas A&M in College Station, Texas on February 28th and against Baylor on the 29th of February. Speaking of the SDSU equestrian team, they competed this last weekend, January 31st and February 1st in Blythewood, South Carolina. And this is from the SDSU equestrian page. South Dakota State Equestrian fell 15-5 in its meet against number 5 South Carolina Saturday afternoon. In the flat event, Jessica Martinez scored an 84 in her ride to score the lone point for the Jacks in the event. Rachel Head scored a 66, Claire Garduno a 59, Haley Kastrup a 52, and Jessica Bosch. In reining, Cassandra Townsend scored the only points for SDSU with her ride of 67.5. Isabel Riggs scored a 69.5 in her ride. Natalie Geidesen, I hope I say that right, scored a 69. Riley Strait, a 66.5, and Cassidy Gardner, a 66. The Jacks trailed 8-2 at the midway point of the meet. In fences, Rachel Darby scored a career best 80 in her ride in fences to earn the Jacks a point. Samantha Hunziker also scored an 80, while Kastrup and Garduno each rode for a 78, and Jessica Martinez scored a 74. In horsemanship, the Jacks nabbed 2 points in the day's final event, each coming from 73.5 point efforts from Cody O'Boyle and from Strait. Jaden Taylor also scored a 73.5, while Kaylin Fox earned a 69.5, and Jordan Gates a 65. Some notes from their page. Jessica Martinez is now tied for 4th all-time with current jumping seat coach Marielle Gordon. In career meets, competed in fences with 39, 3 from the top spot of 42. After today, Martinez has competed in 34 career meets on the flat, also tied with Golden for 4th all-time. And Clara Garduno sits at 10th all-time with 26 career meets on the flat. Other equine events coming up. An event from our events page on SouthDakotaHorse.com. Upcoming this weekend, February 7th and 8th at the W.H. Lyon Fairgrounds in Sioux Falls. It's Bulls and Broncs rodeo event. On February 22nd, there is a seminar called So You Want to Own a Horse at Reclamation Ranch in Mitchell. and that is put on by Anks Training. On April 17th, it's the 50th annual Arabian Horse Show at the W.H. Lyon Fairgrounds in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. That is sponsored by the South Dakota Spring Arabian Horse Show. You can find more information on our events page. Just go to southdakotahorse.com, go to the events page, and you can see a list of all events that we have listed. If you do not see your event and you have an upcoming event, please let us know by emailing us, or you can also share your Facebook event with us by tagging us, and we will add it to our Facebook events page. Now for your history lesson. I was curious about how long South Dakota has hosted official rodeo events. I went to sdrodeo.com to find out that the South Dakota Amateur Rodeo Association was formed on February 2nd, 1955 at Duffy's Cafe in Fort Pierre, South Dakota. A year later, the word amateur was removed from the name of the 89-member association, which is still called the South Dakota Rodeo Association today. There were 5 major events: saddle bronc, bareback, bull riding, calf roping, and bulldogging, with year-end awards given in these events and the all-around. Starting in the spring 1955, rodeos were held at Blunt, Watertown, Miller, Fort Pierre, Four Corners near Hayes, South Dakota, Winter, Highmore at the Cohen Ranch Arena, and the two-state rodeo with North Dakota at Pierre. In 1960, the South Dakota Cowgirls Association combined with the SDRA, and their first saddle for barrel racing was presented in 1960. Some very interesting facts about our rodeo history. And now on to our special guest for today. Today we have Shanna Border. Shanna is from the Borderlands Horse Sanctuary. And welcome, Shanna, to the show.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about why you started Borderlands.
I've always had a passion for horses, and I knew at a young age that there was a need for horse rescue. So that's why once we moved to our acres that we wanted to open up our doors to have horses here and to take care of them.
Okay, so now you started as more of a rescue, right? And then you changed over to a sanctuary. Tell me about that.
Well, it first started out with, I have this horse, do you want it? And that's kind of where it began. And I was new to the rescue world, so that's why we figured we would start with the rescue and look to find them new homes. But I got attached to them. As the family would joke, once a horse steps foot onto our land, they stay here forever. And so far, that's been the case. So you can't have a rescue and not adopt them out. So that's why we decided to switch over and focus more sanctuary-wise, so that it would limit me on how many we could have here.
Okay, sure. So speaking of that, how many horses do you have on your farm locally or right now?
14.
14 horses. Wow. And how long what's the longest or what's the oldest horse that you've had the longest time?
Well, the oldest horse we've had since before we were even a sanctuary. We got him, he was originally one of our personal horses, but after we had him a while, we realized that there was something wrong with him, and he would be too dangerous to try and sell him to somebody else. And if we were to sell him at an auction, we knew somebody else would get on him and get seriously hurt. So we decided that we would keep him and put him into our sanctuary program. And we've had him since, I don't even remember now, but long before the sanctuary started.
Okay. So you're a sanctuary, but do you offer other educational programs for the public?
We are starting to do some more educational programs. For the longest time, we were actually just a private entity doing rescue and sanctuary work. so we didn't really put our names out there. So now that we are an established 501c3, we're slowly putting our names out there, and we're trying to see where exactly we fit, because as a sanctuary, we can't adopt our horses out, but we can still educate. But we're trying to figure out how we can do that with our volunteer base.
Sure. So how long have you been a 501c?
Since April of 2016. Not very long.
Okay. But how long have you been actually rescuing horses or dealing with that part of it?
We started in May of 2006.
Okay. And it's right there on your farm. Is your family involved in this at all?
They are, but under duress.
Yeah, sure. So, tell me about your family. Do you have a husband? Do you have some kids? Tell me about that.
Well, I have a husband and 3 kids, 7, 4, and 1, and then my parents also help too.
Excellent. That's great to make it a family affair. So, the older kids, do they ride horses too yet, or?
No, my oldest, my 7-year-old, he went to throw hay once, and he got it must have been a thistle or something in his hand, and he said he would never throw hay again, which means he'd never be around horses again. but my daughter is as horse crazy as I am, so hopefully I have a riding partner soon.
There you go. That's great. So tell me more about your day. What does your day consist of as far as taking care of the horses?
In the mornings I get up and check on everybody, and we'll feed the ponies because we have a Shetland and a mini. And then I check on the rest of the horses. I'm a bit sexist. I have my geldings and my mares separated, and I just check on them to make sure that they're fine. Then I go off to my paying job, and I come back, and then in the evenings we do our full-fledged grain those that need to be grained. Double check everybody and make sure that there's no major injuries, because in the span of even an hour, a horse can manage to do major vet bills to themselves. So
sure.
We like to do eyes on everybody twice a day just to make sure that everybody stays healthy, and that also helps us do evaluations to make sure that, like, during the winters, that they're not dropping weight or somebody's overly stressed. So it's just kind of a double check on everybody.
Okay. So thinking about the winter, and this was really, this was the primary reason to wanting to talk to you today, is we're going to talk a little bit about winter care. And what is it that you do specifically that cares for these horses during the wintertime? And is there something you do that is specific to particular age categories? Just tell me about that. What do you do to care for these horses during the winter?
Well, each horse is different. They're like people. Everybody is a little bit different. So we have to evaluate each horse based on what they need. And it kind of depends on what they like and what they need when it comes to winter. We've had a 16-year-old that was an absolute hard keeper, and we've had 30-year-olds that were easy keepers. So it really just depends on that specific horse. Okay.
As far as your horses, what's the oldest horse you have right now?
The oldest horse is Jim, our Tennessee Walker, who is 32.
Wow.
And we've had a couple more that I think they were a little bit older, but they come to us without a lot of history sometimes, so we don't always know all of their age. But I think the oldest one we had was an Appaloosa mare that was about 35.
Wow. So thinking about how you get these horses, how do you get these horses? Are they coming from just private owners? Are they coming from elsewhere, out of state? How are you getting these horses?
Now in the last year or two, it's just been contacted being contacted by private owners that are trying to find homes for the horses. The last group that we took in, their owner needed to be put into a nursing home. Other times it's an owner that they can't physically take care of them anymore, so they're looking for somebody else to take care of them, and they want to make sure that they're doing right by their horses. Previous to being an actual 501c3, being an actual sanctuary, we were finding them on Craigslist or going to auctions, but now that our name is getting out there more, it's mostly just private owners contacting us.
So as far as volunteers, do you have volunteers that work with you on this sanctuary?
I have one dedicated volunteer, and she is scared of horses. So she is more our education and outreach person.
Okay, so she goes to schools, to church groups. What does she do to educate?
Mostly it's if we have like the South Dakota Horse Expo, she helps there. I am an extreme introvert, so she helps me be a little bit more talkative. If we do any, like, there's the Hartford Farmers Market, we attended that, and she'll come there, and she's better at talking with people and doing all of the talking and grabbing people's attentions, where I'm not very good at that.
Sure. Well, that's. I mean, it's good to have someone around like that. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about the type of feed that you use, or how, as far as feeding the horses, you use hay primarily?
Right. We put out hay. Everybody has big rounds of hay, and we always put hay nets on all of them because I'm very stingy when it comes to waste. Prior to kids, we used to do the big squares of hay instead, and we would dole them out mornings and night. But with kids, time is of the essence, so we switched over to big rounds. And everybody gets straight hay, and in the really cold snaps, we'll throw some alfalfa, and maybe that's not the right way to do it, but we also have a couple of horses that are prone to laminitis, so we have to watch them versus watching our seniors who are hard keepers, and trying to figure out the balance between how rich the food should be and how non-rich the food should be. And then we have our hard keepers who we bring in at night and we grain them. Everybody gets the harder keepers. They usually get soaked senior feed, and then either some kind of a weight booster or another supplement to help with weight gain or pain. So each horse is kind of individualized, so we have to make sure that what we're feeding them works, and what works today might not work tomorrow, so we always have to kind of tweak everything as we go through the winter time.
Sure. Yeah, that's understandable. Is there I'm just thinking about the horses that you have there and their individual health issues. Do you have health issues that are more prominent with the horses that you take care of?
Not really. It's mostly they're all age related. As we all get older, they all have more aches and pains. We have a couple that they're not necessarily diagnosed, but they are forbidden from being ridden because they will do harm to someone, and we try and we add supplements to try and ease the pain for those horses, just to make sure that the colder weather right now causes more aches and pains for them.
Yeah, I guess that's good to keep people safe, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So if people want, first of all, I guess I should ask, how are you doing for hay supply?
We're about on target right now. We took in a couple of extra horses that we hadn't planned on this fall, but we also lost two of our horses, that the one we had planned on, the one we had not planned on. So we're okay.
Okay.
I'd rather have too much than not enough.
Sure. Are there any immediate needs that you are requesting?
Well, we can always use grain and volunteers, always volunteers. And it doesn't have to be, if you don't want to be near horses, we have other things for volunteers to do. And if you're not even local, that's fine. We also have projects for non-local people to work on. Otherwise, it's kind of, I guess mostly it's the grains and the stuff that goes directly to the horses. We can always use blankets.
If someone wants to donate either financially or blankets or grain, how can they do that?
They can contact me if they want, or they can go out to online. We have a PayPal account. If you go to, I can't remember now off the top of my head, paypal.me/Borderlands. And there's also a link on our website that goes directly to a PayPal account if you'd rather go that way. Or you can email me and we can find out a way to donate if you'd rather not do it online, if you'd rather go through check. Or if you have in-kind donations that way too, we can always meet up or figure out how to make that work.
If someone wants to come out and visit your facility, to either visit the horses, maybe spend some time with them, can they do that? And how can they do that if they can?
Yeah, we are always excited to show off our horses. The only thing we ask is that you send us a message through our Facebook or you email us at Borderlands Horse Sanctuary at yahoo.com. And just let us know when would work best for you. With 3 little kids, we're running a lot, so I just want to make sure that we're home and we can be here when it works for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Well, very good. Is there anything else you want to share with our listeners about your cause? Anything else about horse care or anything that we should know?
Mostly, don't ever doubt your senior horses, because they are worth their weight in gold. The wisdom that these senior horses have is amazing, because you would never guess it, but those older horses they're something else. They're definitely worth looking into if you're considering adopting a horse or looking at purchasing a horse even for the first time, or even to have another horse next to you. Having a senior horse is definitely something that people should consider. I know that age kind of scares people away from them, but they are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, okay. So is it just more on that, I guess, if someone would want to buy a senior horse, what age of a horse should they shoot for to get several years of riding out of the horse? I know some of it depends on physical ability and other health issues, but if the horse is healthy, what's a good age to purchase an older horse?
It kind of depends on what you're going to use the horse for. If you're going to use the horse for long riding, you might not want an older horse, but if you're just going to throw your kids on and trot them around an arena, you can go 25 years old. There's really no age. It kind of depends on that specific horse. A lot of our horses, they'll tell you when they're done. I was riding my personal horse for the Dakota Center Mounted Drill Team, and he was about 24, 25, and he told me that he needed to be done doing drill team work. And I could still use him as trails. He's perfectly fine as a trail horse. But doing the more strenuous running and turning and those kind of quick moves, he was done. But as far as trails and stuff, he's golden for that kind of stuff. And he's 26, and hasn't missed a beat yet.
Wow, sounds great. Yeah, that's neat. And horses are, I just think horses are so smart, and they find ways to communicate with you.
Yep.
Excellent. One more time, what is your website?
Our website is borderlandshorsesanctuary.com.
All right. Well, Shanna, thank you so much for taking some time to visit with me today. Everyone, please go out and check out their website and see if you can learn more about what they do and offer to give them some help. They are always looking for volunteers to help them with different projects. So, all right. Thank you very much, Shanna.
Thank you so much.
Well, we're at the end of our time together today. Thanks to our special guest, Shanna Border from Borderlands Horse Sanctuary. Thanks again for listening to our show. If you'd like to sponsor our show, please contact us at southdakotahorse.sd@gmail.com. Remember to visit southdakotahorse.com for all things equine in the great state of South Dakota. Until next time, keep riding.